What is up, YouTube? It is MetroGame75 here today, and today we're playing Sakura Succubus 7. This is part 2. Here we are, back again with Cosmos. Anyways, let's get started. Cosmos announces cheerfully as our small party arrives at our destination, a cute cafe Cosmos and I have frequented on numerous occasions. This cafe was the first place actually that Cosmos and I had a proper conversation. I actually met Cosmos on the train during my commute to work, but we didn't really talk back then. The train's compartment was far too cramped and noisy for any kind of meaningful back and forth, and Cosmos had more than a dialogue on her mind during that particular encounter. We might have gotten pretty personal on the train, but I barely knew a thing about Cosmos back then. It wasn't until Cosmos took me to this cafe that I was able to get a proper look at her. It was while we were sitting about of one of these tables, Cosmos chowed down on an ice cream sundae that Cosmos decided, and she wanted to make her a boyfriend. This was almost a year ago, and I can scarcely imagine my life without Cosmos now. We've been through an awful lot together, from an unplanned jaunt to Succubus realm to a holiday at Ayu's fancy beach house. It's been a while since we came back to this cafe together, and it's steep in nostalgia, and I can't help but feel sentimental as I glance about at the familiar decor. Ah yes, goodness me. Stefani, however, has no such associations with the cafe, fond of or otherwise. She has never been here before. It's quite all new to her, as is indicated by her look of surprise. Look at this! This really is beautiful. Did you see this? Bro, she looks like she's not impressed. Like, what is this? Is this one of those fabled maid cafes I have heard so much about? Indeed it is. I thought you might want to see it, Steffi. Maids are an important part of Japanese culture. They're a cornerstone of our society. They are if we're talking specifically about nerd culture, maybe. While Japan might be synonymous with maid cafes overseas, not most Japanese people do not, in fact, make a point of frequenting venues such as this. They're considered kind of embarrassing, actually. Oh, I know you would have come here were it not for Cosmos' insistence. Despite the way I look, I know my glasses aren't particularly fashionable. I'm not waist deep in my mire that in nerd culture, not like Cosmos. I don't watch anime, I don't read manga, save for a few popular fighting series that I love as a kid, and I certainly don't read new visual novels that feature scantily clad heroines. My tastes have always been more pedestrian, normie if you will. I'm passionate about photography. I used to dabble in music, and I enjoy converting carbon dioxide into oxygen. All told, I'm incredibly average. At least I was before meeting a harem of succubi. Now I'd be hard pressed to call myself average, but my interests remain fairly standard. I can't deny that the maids who work in this cafe are pretty cute though. Their short skirts reveal a lot more than skin than Elizabeth's own demure black and white attire does, and the ruffled headpieces are a particularly nice touch. I'm not so stuck about I consider myself above appreciating a pretty maid every once in a while. Are you familiar with this place, Hiroki? Do Japanese men such as yourselves often visit establishments like this to eat? No, not really. It's not that common. Huh? Isn't it common? Of course. Why are you asking me that? You're not a tourist. You live in Japan. Though if I were here, I'm sure she'd say something scathing to the tune of "Does Cosmos live in Japan? I thought she lived in her own fantasy land." I don't always agree with Ayu, but the fictitious Ayu conjured up in my mind, I might have a point there. Maybe so? But I don't understand why anybody would want to eat anywhere else when maid cafes exist. The waiters are so cute, it would be a shame to go anywhere else. I like it when they pipe hearts on your omelet rice, and when they do, little spells to make the food taste even yummier. The waiters at my family restaurant don't do that, and their outfits aren't as frilly. Family restaurants are really boring. I think your tastes are just unique. Now I'm getting curious. Don't tell me you only eat at maid cafes. I do most of the time, yes. Why? Why, you ask? I frown. The waitress at these places might be cute, I guess. They are cute, very much so. I'm glad you agree. But the food is always subpar. It's nothing special and it's overpriced for what it is. When you come to a place like this, you're paying for the experience rather than the actual food. It's fine every once in a while, but eating out all the time must get expensive, mustn't it? It's okay, Hiroki. I would rather you be broke and happy and surrounded by cute maids than rich and sad without any maids to attend to me. Now that seems like a pretty dangerous way of thinking. I guess it's a good thing Cosmos is such a popular social media star, or she'd be in real danger of bankrupting herself in eternal pursuit of knee socks and white aprons. Besides, I have plenty of money. I can afford to eat subpar omelets every day if I want. So you admit the food here is subpar? I wouldn't say otherwise. I'm not delusional. Not completely, at least. I know better food exists, but as these restaurants don't employ maids, I'm not interested in them. Even a plain lukewarm omelet can taste good if it's served to you by a pretty woman in a frilly dress. I am sure Hazel would agree with me. You're probably not wrong about that. I know exactly how Hazel feels about maids, thanks to a few of the luxurious comments she made Elizabeth back in Astoria. Jeez. Are all members of my succubus harem weak against maids? Is this a shared fetish they all have? Even if Fumin dressed up as a maid before to appease me, though her maid outfit was more traditionally Japanese than the Western style get-ups the maids in this cafe are sporting. Anyway, I like this cafe a lot. So I thought you would too, Steffi. Like I said, maid cafes are the pinnacle of Japan culture. I'm sure a lot of people would be offended if they heard you say that. Sigh. What about our country's rich history? Our beautiful temples, our verdant forests, our majestic hills? I guess all that is irrelevant to Cosmos. Forget all of our cultural landmarks and geographic wonders. Maids are where it's all at. Because that's where it is, the Maid Hub. Hiroki and I have come here a lot despite Hiroki's protest, and we're both very fond of it. It was here, in fact, that Hiroki and I went on our first date. Is it now? Oh my, this cafe must possess a lot of emotional significance for the pair of you. Is it really alright that I am here now? I would not wish to intrude upon your fond memories. It's fine. You're Hiroki's girlfriend too, so I thought you should come here. It feels only right. I want you to know what's going on a proper date in Japan feels like. And of course, I want to show you a real genuine Japanese maid. I am sure these maids are very different to the ones in the palace. Yes, indeed, they are. The attire of these maids is not at all appropriate. They are revealing rather too much skin. Unlike you, on the other hand, the only thing you got is just only a side, just only this and thighs right here, juicy thick thighs. That's all you got. You don't want to show too much? Like, come on. This seemed like a bit of a hypocritical complaint, given the cutouts at the side of Elizabeth's own outfit. But I don't mention that. Of course, yes. She even has it on the side, just at least to breathe, just for the breast to breathe. You gotta let the booba breathe, guys. Let it breathe. Because without that, it's just gonna be suffocating. And then you're gonna get button pops left to right happening. Elizabeth looks over too. I'm afraid any attempts to call her out on her hypocrisy would net me a nasty glare. I've been on the receiving end of Elizabeth's glares a few times, and it's not a pleasant experience. Elizabeth might be a maid, but she's a little scary. Their outfits are very gaudy too. As a maid, I find their apparel most ill-fitting. Maids ought not to display their bodies, but they should instead strive to remain unobtrusive. Maids exist solely to serve others. Their serving should be quite understated, kind of affair, conducted without any unnecessary pomp. These women, meanwhile, seem determined to draw as much attention to themselves as possible. They are not at all professional. I fear I do not think very much of these Japanese maids, although Elizabeth excels. I suppose I must reserve my judgment until I have been served by one of these so-called maids. I'll be able to determine their worth then. As a top maid myself, however, I fear I'll be let down. These little girls can never hope to measure up to me. Oh, she's angry. Oh, she's angry all because of this, huh? This is a battle of the maids, huh? Battle of these maids. Skimpy dress versus full dress, this despite the fact that you have a side cutout. I'm starting to feel a little afraid of half of these maids assembled in this cafe. Cosmo's only brought Stefania and Elizabeth here for a bit of fun, but it looks like Elizabeth's taking this very, very seriously. She is. How will she react? I wonder if the unlucky maid assigned to serving us makes a mistake. I almost dread to think of it. Here we go. Let's see how this turns out. Half an hour later. So this is the quality of the service at this so-called Maid Cafe, is it? And irate Elizabeth examined the curry she was recently served by a brightly being maid in a skimpy outfit. Kato seems pretty taken with her food. She's possibly drooling over it and over the maid, who's sashaying away from our table. Elizabeth looks less impressed. Elizabeth's arms are folded beneath her chest and her eyes are narrowed in obvious disapproval. Lizzie? Is something the matter? I would say so, yes. Don't you like Japanese curry, Lizzie? Is it too mild for you? I do prefer my curry to have a bit of a kick to it, yes, but that is not the issue here. Would you have preferred it if our maid had written something cute on it then, like she did with my omelet rice? Maids will usually draw pictures with ketchup on your food. If you ask them to it, it's part of their service. It's a bit difficult to do that with curry, though. That's why I always order omelets at these restaurants. They feel more personal. No, it is quite alright. You needed to offer me any of your food. My issue is not my curry lacks a cute illustration. I do not think pointless flourishes such as ketchup, hearts, or flowers add significant worth to a meal. Pointless flourish? Oh shit, she's mad. Let's see how this goes. Cosmo stares at Elizabeth, her expressions aggrieved. But these pointless floors are what the appeal of the cafes like this hinge upon. If it weren't for these pointless floors, this cafe would be no different from a family restaurant. Perhaps you ought to have gone to a family restaurant then. If their standards are higher, the presentation of a meal leaves much to be desired. I would not be surprised if the rocks was bought from a shop and the vegetables have been cut very roughly. No, amount of ketchup hearts would be able to save this meal. It looks like something made by a child, and particularly clumsy child at that. I would sooner stick pins beneath my fingernails than serve a dish like this to my lady. It is not fit for human consumption. I think you're being a bit too harsh, Lizzie. Come on. This food doesn't look as extravagant as the food served in the palace, but that is only to be expected. Our cooks are professionals who trained for many years in Paris. It would be unfair to expect a similar level of quality in a small cafe like this. Indeed, you are correct. Perhaps I am being somewhat unfair, but how can you blame me, milady, when I want only the best for you? It's because your fucking cooking sucks! It's like that. Well, I do not doubt that food is edible. That is great. That's not a great praise. Edible is not the baseline I search for when it comes to assessing the quality of the meal. I would rather some real passion to be put into the food I consume, particularly after paying for it. So pretty much, it's like you're trying to put at least make it edible, but with something else along with passion. It's like something that's like not so great. If you all get if you already know, then you know, because this looks, she is crazy. It is clear that whosoever made this meal did not care about its recipient. It is too clumsily fashioned. There is no love in it. Maybe because you're just only a maid that is not as good as them, and yet you're just trying to be better than them or some kind of way, and pretty much talking about their food in some kind of way? Come on. Moreover, Elizabeth lip curls. It took more than 20 minutes for this food to arrive, and that, I fear, is far too long. 20 minutes? Bro, so you expect them to make a food, so you expect them to just rush out the food and then at the point it's all cold and moggy? Like, nobody wants to eat a cold omelet, okay? I much rather let it take its time. Because if they take their time, it might be something great in there. It might be something good, and then you might enjoy it. Why would I want to have them rush out of fucking food to the point where it's like, bro, nah, just don't take it rushed. Anyways, our waitress, I cannot bring myself to call her a maid, might have smiled when she served us, but her smiles are not enough to excuse the tardiness of our meal. Why? My curry is already beginning to get cold. I can't abide such sloppiness unless I made myself. Elizabeth slams her palm against the tabletop. Oh no. Oh. She slams it so hard, in fact, that our plates and our drinks shake. Yeah, this is gonna be bad. I guess this is the beginning of War of the Maids. Paris versus Japan. The service here is slow, the servers are dressed inappropriately, and the price for this so-called experience is exorbitant. Milady deserves so much better. I'm fine, Lizzie, please, don't worry so much. I'm looking forward to eating my food. You're too kind, Milady. You ought to stand up for yourself, though. You deserve to be treated better than this. You know that you deserve better than this. I wish only for you to be happy wherever you go and so. Bro, she's like, what is she, her fucking mother? That's what she fucking sounds like at this point. She's like her whole mother. She's like her fucking mother, the caretaker. She has gone to the fucking extreme levels. Fucking Elizabeth. God damn. Elizabeth rises purposely to her feet, the legs of her chair scraping against the floor. I must knock some sense into those so-called maids who work at this establishment. It is high time I show these maids how they ought to be interacting with their customers. Well, another thing that I just thought about. I'll be pissed off too if they give me food like that. That's like working at that's like going to like a neighborhood Popeyes or KFC and they give you this. It's just 100% relatable. Going to one of those neighborhood KFCs or Popeyes. Ugh. Remember that time they served me that cold food at Popeyes? Shit was nasty. Thankfully I got my money back. Well, anyways, a little while later. Excuse me, Miss Elizabeth, but does my posture look alright? Miss Elizabeth, there's a new order for table 7. Miss Elizabeth, my ribbon is crooked. Would you fix it for me? Am I addressing the customers with enough respect, Miss Elizabeth? Miss Elizabeth, can you help me? Oh, the way you serve your customers is so elegant and regal, Miss Elizabeth. Your hair is so silky, Miss Elizabeth. What conditioner did you use? Your skin is so soft and smooth, Miss Elizabeth. I'm jealous. I don't know how I ever got by without you, Miss Elizabeth. You really have opened my eyes. We love you, Miss Elizabeth. Don't ever leave us. Well, I'll be. I watch as Elizabeth walks briskly through the cafe dispensing with advice when so asked by gaggling of needy maid flogging her, while occasionally pausing to take orders. Elizabeth appointed herself as this cafe's head maid less than 15 minutes ago. The maids have already fallen under her thrall. They seem quite taken by her despite her forcefulness, or maybe they're taken with her because of it. Maybe these maids are all misogynists who likes being pushed around, that I certainly explain why they let Elizabeth walk all over them so easily. Miss Elizabeth, you are really amazing. Please show me what to do. You're the best maid I've ever seen. Elizabeth have adapted to a role of a maid cum mentor awfully well, like a duck to water. Fucking cum. Maybe she was made to lead others. Could she be related in some distant manner to Joan of Arc? Now that will be pretty badass. Elizabeth herself seems pretty badass. In fact, despite her maid outfit, she makes her black and white attire look like a battle armor, something to be worn before riding on horseback into the fray. I can't help but be impressed. I always knew Elizabeth took her job seriously, but I never realized she was quite this passionate. Stefania, meanwhile, seems a bit embarrassed by this affair. Her face is flushed and awkwardly she sinks down in her chair. I must apologize for Liz's behavior, everybody. I know she's being very forceful. Yeah, Is it me? Why does she look like she's like the height of like, I can just say Cosmos, bro. She's like a Cosmos. I did try to tell her to calm down, but she didn't listen. It can be hard to make her see sense when she gets like this. I hope you aren't too offended, Heroic Cosmos. I do wish she'd chill out a bit, though, but... Shit, but... It's fine. I mean, at least there's some improvements now happening. Oh no, it's fine. Why would I be offended? Because you and Cosmo brought us here so that we might have a good time. I know you want us to relax, but Lizzie isn't relaxing at all. But she's working even harder than she does back in the palace. It's the funniest size. She was rude about the food too, about the service. She didn't have a single nice thing about this experience. That must have been awkward for you, surely? Nah, I was plenty negative about this cafe myself before I sat down. I find these kind of establishments pretty gimmicky, if I'm being quite honest. My feelings are more aligned with Elizabeth than Cosmos, although I smile sheepishly. I'd never presume to try and tell the maids at this place how to do their jobs. That'd be going a step too far. Elizabeth really is going too far, isn't she? She can be so impossible sometimes. Miss Elizabeth, I cut my finger. Would you kiss it better for me? Miss Elizabeth, the button on the front of the blouse has come undone. Could you fasten it, please? Miss Elizabeth, my ribbon is crooked again. If you could fix it, I would be forever in your debt. Well, I laugh and muse at the maids of this humble establishment Twitter in Elizabeth's wake, like so many startlings. These maids don't seem to have any objections about her involvement. These maids have gotten so attached to Elizabeth that they're only a step short of groveling at her feet. They're looking at Elizabeth like she's some sort of goddess. Maybe they'll fashion effigies of her and no toe before them in the privacy of their own homes. I wouldn't be surprised. Perhaps these maids do not mind too much. But what about you, Cosmos? You have been very quiet. Aren't you upset by this turns of events, are you? Not at all. I think this is very cool, actually. In what matter? Well, let me see. It's a bit hard to explain, really. I'm not very good with words, but I suppose I feel a bit guilty. Why do you feel guilty? It's just, well, I've been to a lot of maid cafes in my time. I like them a lot. I thought I knew about a lot of maids because of this, but now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen a maid work as seriously as Lizzie is. Not in any of the cafes I've visited. She's on a whole other level. Lizzie's nothing of passion, yes. She always does her best. I know that. I can tell. That's why she's so cool. I used to think that the maids at this cafe were incredible, but now I am beginning to see the errors of my ways. Clothes do not, as they say, make the man. In this case, the maid's dress does not make a maid. A woman might look like a maid, but that does not mean she really is one, not in her heart. To be a proper maid, one must feel it in their soul, like Lizzie does. Maids are serious business, and now I understand that I have not given them the respect they deserve. I feel guilty now forever thinking that in the imitation maids at these cafes were good enough, and I feel guilty that I ever thought myself worthy of dressing as a maid myself during my photo shoots. I have besmirched the true meaning of being a maid, and I never even really realized it. Lizzie's fervor has shown me, however, the errors of my ways. It is time for me to repent on my past actions and atone. What's up with that face you're making? Cosmos approaches Elizabeth, who's in the midst of serving another customer, then bows down. Nearly before Elizabeth upons the floor of the cafe, she presses her forehead to the floor and cries, "Please, Lizzie, take me under your wings. Show me how to be a real maid, just like you. I am willing to work hard to unlearn all the erroneous thoughts I ever had about your noble profession. I know now that real maids are worth much more than frilly dresses. And I want to become a sophisticated, self-confident maid just like you." Oh boy. And so in the end, now she becomes one. Cat Cafe. Hi everyone, it's your favorite cute cat Maid, Cosmos, and I'm here to serve you with a smile. Is there anything that you like, something delicious to eat, something refreshing to drink, or perhaps, Cosmos smiles deviously, me? I've seen this so many times somewhere. Oh please, that isn't what I told you to say, Cosmos, and you know it. It isn't. No, if you are to be a proper maid, you cannot go offer yourself to the customers as though you yourself are a delicious dessert to be consumed. It isn't simply seemly. Maids ought to be unobtrusive, remember? We exist as vassals who answers to the orders of others, but we should not seek to stand in the spotlight of ourselves. If you wish to be a true maid, you must learn some decorum. Although, Elizabeth's sharp gaze sweeps over Cosmos, and while examining her, she sighs. I fear that may not perhaps be possible, not when the so-called maid outfits the girls at this cafe wear show off such a large amount of skin. These outfits are far too gaudy to be worthy of any genuine maid, and I am uncertain as to your choice to pair your attire with those cat ears and that tail. It seems uncouth. I'm sorry, Lizzie, I just cannot wear cat ears. I don't feel like myself without them. They're my charm point. Charm point? That's right, my fans all say they love my cat ears. They are what makes me, even when I'm trying to work as a maid. I will always be a cat girl first and foremost. It would not do to deprive my meowsters of my unique appeal. If your meowsters had any respect for the work we maids do, they would not demand that you make yourself look like a fool. But never mind, if you insist upon the cat ears, I suppose they can stay, though they are not at all a practical design choice. I will try to put your appearance to one side, no matter how difficult that may be, and focus instead upon your mannerism. No maids ought to smile when serving their masters, but do not smile too much. You should not, as I said, make a spectacle of yourself. You need to be demure, mild-mannered, and respectful. Do you think you can manage that? You need to be demure, mild-mannered, and respectful. Do you think you can manage that? I'll do my best. My attitude is better than I'll use, at least. I'm kind of cut out for serving people, but I'm not very good at talking to people. I don't always have to know what to say. Sometimes I feel kind of lost. I don't think I'm as competent as you, Lizzie. When you serve others, you seem to shine. Well, thank you very much. It comes with a good deal of practice, I assure you. I have been working as a maid for as long as a while, and I take my job seriously. Serving others is second nature to me now. If you wish to catch up, I fear it will take you a long time. Are you prepared to try hard? Damn. Yes, Miss Elizabeth, I will do my best. I'll become the best maid a clumsy neat like me could ever hope to be. Here we go with this whole clumsiness. Time passes and the day eventually comes to a close. The sun begins to sink, and when it does, Cosmo suggests we cap our date off with bubble tea. Yes! Our bubble tea secured man is expensive. Where does these trenchy cafes get off? Charging such exorbitant prices for their drinks. We need to head to a nearby park. I'm content to drink my bubble tea, which is a taro flavor, by the normal way, namely with the cup in my hand and my mouth about the straw, but booba tea. Is this really how girls drink bubble tea nowadays? Of course, if you have large racks and they're like up from like Lizzie's, then of course that of course can stay up there. Oh, look at Stefania's home. Her drink is about to fall down to the floor. That's right, Cosmos, it seems, has no other ideas. She told Stefania about an exciting trend which goes which gone about on social media a while back, namely about balancing one's bubble tea upon one's bosom. That's what Cosmos is doing, and she's making it quite a valiant attempt at it. Two, given her chest isn't particularly pronounced. Stefania, seeing what Cosmos was up to, decided to join in, I guess because she didn't want to miss out. Would youngsters call that FOMO? Whatever. Obviously, I don't understand what youngsters are into anymore, or what popular. Am I getting old? At least Elizabeth seems to share my sentiments because she looks rather dubious about this whole affair herself. I don't understand how this is supposed to aid in drinking of the bubble tea. It is simply making things more difficult. I have faith in my coordinations, but it's rather hard to balance. I hope my drinks doesn't spill. I hope these drinks don't spill either. Sure, it might be appealing if the fronts of Cosmos, Stefania's, and Elizabeth's shirts were to get damp, but you could get the same effect with tap water, and that's free. These bubble teas, however, were anything but. They were eye-watering expensive, and I was the muppet who had to buy them. I know it's customary for guys to foot the bill when going on dates, but it's not customary for guys to go on dates with 3 girls at once. Is this the quite literal price I have to pay for my philandering ways? Oh well, at least Cosmos, Stefania, and Elizabeth all look pretty good right now. I can't deny they're attractive. Oh, is this really difficult? I'm afraid I'm not very good at this. I must have lived in the palace too long. I'm so sheltered. I don't know how ordinary girls are supposed to act. With all due respect, milady, I don't think there's anything ordinary about this. It all seems a bit salacious to me. I'm inclined to agree with the maid. She speaks sense at least. It's okay, nobody's get that good at this on their first attempt. I had to practice a lot to get this just right. I must have gone through at least a dozen cups of bubble tea. What Cosmos has practiced? Seriously? I guess I admire her dedication, but doesn't have better ways to spend her time and her money. Maybe not. Goodness me, that really is amazing. You work so hard, Cosmos. I do my best. At silly endeavors, maybe that are no practical benefits to anybody. A bemused Elizabeth sighs, and rightfully so. I can't really blame her for looking so fed up. Maybe I should drink this normally. I wouldn't want to make a mess. Maybe, but first, Cosmo fishes her phone out of her pocket and holds it up. Let's take a selfie. We need to commemorate this moment. Do we really? Of course, it isn't every day that I get it to drink bubble tea with the princess of small European country. Now, big smile, Steffi. I'm going to take it. Right, it'll be my pleasure. I suppose I can play along myself. But if you share these photos on social media, I will be very unhappy. What? Oh, come on. Why? The only one who's allowed to go up at Milady's chest is me and Miss Urasawa on occasions. What? The internet does not need to see this. Dude. Oh, Lizzie, thank you for being so considerate. You really are sweet. Of course, I do worry about you, my lady. I haven't to give you. Never seem to worry about yourself. You really are an airhead. But that only adds to your appeal. Yeah, I think I have to agree with Elizabeth there. Stefania manages to look innocent no matter what she's doing, even when bouncing bubble tea on her chest. It's pretty incredible skill. Stefania's pretty incredible in general. Alright everybody, say cheese. Well, Cosmos might be even more so. We're at the park. So, how has your day been, Steffi? Have you been enjoying yourself? Oh yes, you've been very kind to me. I'm most looking forward to tomorrow. Yay, I'm glad to hear it. We should have even more fun then. I've arranged something very exciting. Just wait and see. Something exciting? For some reason, I have a bad feeling about this. What constitutes as exciting, I wonder, in Cosmos' world? She sure seems to enjoy it when I walk through the streets on a leash. But we're not going to have a repeat performance of that display, surely. not in the front of Historia's princess. Japan's relationship with Historia could be irrevocably ruined in the face of such a social fox pass. Yes, something exciting. Ai has a day off work tomorrow, so I asked her if she wouldn't mind tagging along. I thought we could all hang out together. It'll be a blast. Are you, huh? Great, now I feel even more uneasy. Nothing good seems to come out of Ayu's company. Will this really be alright? I don't want Ayu being rude to Stefania. That really might splinter the peace between Japan and Historia more than walking Cosmos out on a leash would. You have to mention this Ayu before, but I am not familiar with her. Is she a friend of yours? Ayu might contest that. I have my reservations on matter of Cosmos and Ayu's friendship. It's complicated, but Cosmos sounds pretty enthused if her reply is anything to go by. Yes, that's right. Ayu's my very good friend. She's my best friend, in fact, that she's really quite sweet, though she can be a little awkward at times. A little awkward? Isn't that something of an understatement? I'm sure Ayu told me to drink bleach on more than one occasion. Of course. That was like back in Sakura Succubus 4 she said that. I'm sure the two of you will get along well. Ayu can be a bit prickly, but you just need to be nice to her. She'll warm you up too soon, or up to you soon enough. Like a cat, you mean? Yes, a little like that. Ayu always say that my cat ears look stupid though. Well then, she sounds like an interesting woman indeed. I would love to meet. I only hope that she likes me. I am certain that she will, my lady. You are very charming after all. If she does take against you, however, then... An ominous expression across Elizabeth's face, and smiling grimly, she cracks her knuckles. I will have to have a little word for her. Oh, come on. He always do this all this. She's just too serious for her. God damn it. Relax. Yo, this bitch is not relaxing, I swear. I'm starting to feel afraid on Ayu's behalf. Elizabeth is going to snap her spine. Is she? Lizzie, please, while I know you care for me, I do wish that you wouldn't threaten others discriminately. Snapping spines is no way to make new friends. Wait, what? I was only kidding around, but Stefania sounded pretty serious there. Elizabeth hasn't really snapped any spines for Stefania's sake, has she? I'm almost afraid to ask. Alright, fine, I will try to behave myself. If this Ayu gives you any trouble, however, I would not hesitate to make her pay. Geez, that sure sounded like a threat. I might have to send Ayu text later, reminding her to keep her more critical remarks to herself. This is going to be a rough one. I'm busy pardoning this when... Maybe it was just my imagination, but I'm sure I heard something just now. Something other than the breeze, though, the trees, that is. It's hard to say, but it sounded a little like footsteps. Is somebody watching us? With narrow eyes, I sweep the gaze across the park, but I can't see anything. Maybe I'm imagining things. It's pretty late, and it's starting to get dark. I must be getting tired. Hearing things like, or thinking. I was hearing things at least. Now I'm not at all convinced there was anything to hear. I mean, silly, that's all it is. There's nothing to worry about, right? Hiroki, Stefania, who was busy sipping on her bubble tea, sets the plastic container down upon the bench, then looks at me curiously. Are you alright? Oh, I'm fine. Don't worry, Steffi. I was just spacing out. Spacing out? Cosmo echoes my words, her expression is thoughtful. Ayu says I do that too a lot, too. Apparently I'm so spacey I might as well live in Mars. Ayu might have a point there. You do indeed often seem to be living in your own world. It is unusual for you to, however, to drift off like that, whispered Urasawa. Are you sure nothing is the matter? Your face looks awfully pale. Why is it almost as though you have seen a ghost? You better not imagine ghosts around Marina. She can't stand them. The mention of this sinister world ghost sends another shiver down my spine. What if we really were being observed by a ghost? I'd certainly explain this quickening sense of wrongness I felt earlier, and my attempts to find the culprit came up empty-handed. Did our mysterious observers simply disappear? It's Urasawa. But no, I'm being ridiculous, Succubus. Might exist, but ghosts definitely do not. There was nothing there. I could tell there's nothing there. I let myself get worked up over nothing, and now I'm making Stefania and Elizabeth worry. Hiroki? I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm just tired as all. At least I hope that's what the issue is. If we really were being observed, then... well... I don't know if I want to think about that, so I won't. I'll put it from my mind. I don't want to spoil a wonderful day with my silly, misplaced anxiety. I'm sure everything will be alright. That's what I try to tell you myself, but... why do I feel so uneasy? Jeez, man. With their bubble tea consumed and my own anxieties as I saw for the moments, at least I returned to my apartment along with Stefania, Elizabeth, and Cosmos. Stefania is tired after the day's events, and she excuses herself with sleepy. I think I will get an early night. Thank you very much for showing me around, though Cosmos, I had a lot of fun. Elizabeth, meanwhile, makes a beeline for my kitchen come living room, where she seems to spend a lot of her time. Once there, Elizabeth begins to take a quick inventory of the contents of my cupboards and the contents of my fridge. She scans all the food stuff available and finding my selection lacking. She frowns. Well. Yep, well indeed. Alright everybody, that's the end of today's video. So thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my social media links down below in the description and the upcoming live streams of this week and next week. Now see you guys in the next one.